Welcome back to Horn Takes. I'm Sean Redfern, and joining me a lot lately is Michelle Lynn from the Cheap Seats tonight. Michelle, how are we doing tonight? Can you hear me?
Hang on.
Uh-oh, we already got
Sorry,
it.
there's an echo. Give me 1 second.
We
I
already
can
got it.
I can hear you, but I got an echo.
Okay. Well, we're good. Anyway, we'll plug some sponsors while we're sitting here waiting. Chinook Seedery, folks, get over to Chinook Seedery at chinookseedery.com. They are the best seeds ever. They're big. The flavors are great. They got 8 great flavors, and I love them, man. We started kind of hanging out and talking to those guys from Chinook Seedery during baseball season, and they sent me like 50 boxes of seeds, and so I got to try all the flavors, man. They're really good. So check those guys. You never get a bad seed. That's what I really like about them. Some of the other brands, you get those little rotten seeds that just aren't great. And man, I can't even mess with that. So chinookseedery.com. Chinook seeds are not just for baseball. You can chew them during football as well. So get over there, use our promo code Horn Takes, get 10% off your order. Welcome back, Michelle. How we doing?
Doing good. It was open in 2 browsers. So, hey, I had to have my rookie mistake at some point. So, glad it's out of the way now.
That's all right. Funny story. One time I was doing Texas Sports Unfiltered with Zay. I was filling in for Chip, and all of a sudden, like his mic just stopped working. And so I had to do the show for like probably 5 minutes while he was figuring out. He like dropped off the screen. I had to do the show by myself. That was pretty cool. I got to host I got to host Texas Sports Unfiltered story. So we'll just roll with it. No big deal whatsoever at all. Michelle, we are off the bye week. We start SEC play this week. How are you feeling just high level as we head into SEC play? We've got to go to the Swamp and play a Florida team that has had a really rough go of it so far this season.
High level, I feel pretty good. I feel better about this game this week than I did 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of interesting though, because I think the Florida and Texas teams are both in a very similar state. Florida just had a more difficult schedule to start the season, but
Michelle,
the offense.
I gotta stop you real quick. I don't know what happened. It didn't even go live. So like your mistake is not going to be a mistake.
Oh my God, are you for real?
I'm 100% for real.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. It says go live up here. I was looking for, it says scheduled, and usually I start seeing people pop up. Nothing popped up, and it still says it's showtime, go live. So we'll try that again. Does that sound good?
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
I apologize. I don't know what happened.
No, I'm sorry. I think I messed it up. I don't know.
No, I doubt you did. I honestly doubt you did.
This is like all out there on the internet. Maybe it's going to go viral. Who knows?
It's technology. Who knows? Here we go. Now we're going to go live.
Okay.
Here we go. Welcome back to Horn Takes. I am Sean Redfern. Joining me tonight from the Cheap Seats, as she's joined me for the last few shows we've done, Michelle Lynn. Michelle, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. It's Wednesday. We're coming up on the weekend. The bye week is over. We've got some football to look forward to this weekend. Last week was kind of a fun watch, I think, because there were a lot of good games on, and we didn't have to stress about a game at all. So it was kind of like a weekend where you could just sit back, be a college football fan, and just kind of enjoy the day. And there were a lot of really good, not only did we go into that weekend going, man, I think we might have some good games. Like there were legitimately some good games. So it was a fun weekend, but I'm ready for football. How are you feeling?
Yes, I'm so excited. It felt like a long week away from the game. And it was great getting to sort of watch our competitors see what everybody else is putting out there. So it really feels like college football, the whole landscape is wide open. Could be anybody.
It seems like a wild year. I was thinking the other day, college football fans are going to have to get used to, they're going to have to like adjust their expectations of what a great season is. I think it's going to become more and more that we're not going to see these undefeated sort of like super teams. So I think, it's already kind of been pretty wild, and I think it's gonna just get more and more wild now that everybody's in SEC play. The Big Ten, everybody's starting to play conference games. So we're looking forward to that. Before we jump into it tonight, let's take care of a little business, folks. ChinookSeedery.com, best seeds ever. They've got 8 really, really good flavors. It's interesting. I've had tons of talks with Zach and our man Mark over at Occupy Left Field when we do the bullpen show about what the favorite flavor is, what the best flavor is, and we all have a different opinion. It's kind of wild, but that just to me means they're all pretty good. Get over there, ChinookSeedery.com, Horn Takes promo code. You get 10% off your order. Best seeds ever. Again, I'll say it a million. I love them, actually. I'm not even kidding. If they didn't give me a promo code and kind of say throw our banner up there, I'd still be like, man, these are really good. So if you like seeds, check them out. You'll never get a bad seed. That's what I really like about them. Not the little rotten seeds like you get in some of the brands. These are always big and fat and delicious. So check them out. All right, Michelle, we're headed into a pretty big SEC game, I feel like, because 1, it's an SEC game. 2, it's an SEC road game. And to me, I feel like this Florida team, although they've been not good in the win-loss column all season, they have some pretty good talent, and I think their backs are up against the wall. Talk to us high level about how you feel heading into this game at the Swamp.
I feel pretty good about it. I feel better about it this week than I would have, say, 2 or 3 weeks ago with the way Texas had played. The only thing that gives me pause is I think that the Florida and Texas teams are both very similar in that their offensive side of the ball has sort of underperformed based off of expectation, but both of their defenses are really good. And Florida's defense is even better than what they are on paper. They've just been on the field so long that inevitably, you give up points. Like if your quarterback throws 5 interceptions, I'm sorry, I can't blame the defense for getting gassed.
Right.
So I think these teams are really similar. I think the bye week came at a great time for both of them. So I think they're both going to be different teams out there. I'm excited to see what Florida, I'm sure they're going to make a lot of changes on offense. So I just hope that, our team is dialed in and is expecting everything, because I do think this is a kitchen sink type of game for them where they're going to throw everything at it. And I mean, they're playing for their jobs and for their season.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the preview, but I wanted to talk a little bit first, Michelle, about this Texas football team. And there's been so many health problems already this year for Texas. Do we feel like Texas is finally healthy? We heard some commentary early in the week from the coaching staff, from some of the players. Trey Wisner, we've heard, has been making a lot of progress. And I don't know if that's coach speak. I feel like Sark's been saying he's been making a lot of progress for like 3 weeks now. But we've got Trey Wisner, we've got CJ Baxter, Emmett Mosley, Alex January, Kobe Black. Cole Hudson's a guy that got kind of nicked up for a while. I'm not sure if he's still in the nicked up category. What do you think we're going to see this weekend from a health perspective?
Man, I really hope we get a lot of those guys back. As you're listing them off, I'm like, he's a star, he's a star, he's a star. So yeah, I'm really hoping the main ones I hope are back is Alex January. I think he would be a great contributor to have back for this game, just to have some more veteran presence on the field. And then I'd love to see Trey Wisner. Everybody else being back would be a bonus, but those are my 2 that I'm like, please, 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 injury football gods, let them be available. I really hope to see them play.
Yeah, I think when you look at all the guys that are nicked up, for me, the guys that I think would have the most impact on a game like this are the 2 that you mentioned. I think, and you've said it multiple times as we've talked about CJ Baxter. There's no sense in rushing him back because we don't know where he's at. We don't know really anything about what's going on with him. We just know he's nicked up. And I don't think you have to force that, because I feel like the other backs have done a good enough job so far this season of proving they can carry the load offensively. We've seen guys catch the ball. We've seen guys, have good running performances out of the backfield. To me, the running backs, and this is going to sound crazy, and I think there are like generational type running backs, but when you start looking at college running backs, a lot of those guys are like the same guy. They're fast. They're very well balanced. They've got good, lateral agility, good hands. Like there's like, I don't want to call them a dime a dozen, but there's a lot of guys like that in college football. And what it ultimately boils down to is, will that offensive line create some space? And if you create space, there's a lot of guys in college football that can run through it, find daylight, and then outrun people. So I've always been of the opinion, just generally, that it almost doesn't matter who the backs are if the offensive line can dominate the line of scrimmage. But I think a guy like Trey Wisner, with his experience, he's played in a lot of big games. I think that's something that maybe just, a Trey Wisner steps in the huddle and everybody just kind of settles down a little bit, because they know that's a guy that's been here a while. He's done it a while, and he's done it at a really high level.
Right. And I think he's proven too in these games that can be set up to be a dogfight, like against A&M last year. His game can travel. It's not like he was only performing well in Austin, having the crowd behind you. Like, he can perform well when the game is put on his back, as it was when we went to A&M last year. So I think it'd be awesome to have him there. Similar to how DeAndre Moore returning 2 weeks ago brought that sort of, okay, we've got somebody here who's played multiple seasons in the huddle with us, just to give us that confidence. I think even adding in Trey Wisner could add even more of that effect. And I do think he is kind of our one back that I'm like, okay, I know he does bring more to the table than maybe the others. Not to say the others aren't good. I think, like you said, I totally agree that there's not as much a difference between all of them. But I was also really excited about what I saw from Jarrett Gibson. I really like what Clark was doing in the screen game. So, I'm in no hurry to get CJ Baxter put in before he's ready. I think it'd be great to be able to plug him in a few weeks. Hopefully we can hang in there through October, and then put him back in November when he's fully healthy from not only the knee, but also this new hamstring injury. So it's very fortunate being Texas, having so much depth at running back, that we can be a little spoiled. Like, oh no, just sprinkle them in November, no problem.
Yeah, and you've seen teams. I think you've seen the really dominant teams in college football over maybe the last decade. Mm-hmm. They've been able to roll multiple backs through the lineup in games, and they all just make yards. And and again, the running back can't make yards behind. There's some guys that can create yards that aren't there. And I think those are those generational type guys. But a lot of these guys we're talking about, a lot of these teams we're talking about, the offensive line is just mowing people down. And it almost doesn't matter. Pick one, hand them the ball, and they're going to go. So, I think Texas is in that spot from a running back perspective that they're all very similar. They all have their little thing they do better than not, of course. Right. And some of them are not as big as some of the others, of course. There's all those little intangible things like that. But again, I think the offensive line creates some space. We'll be fine with whoever totes the rock on Saturday or any other day. The name that's really interesting to me, and we heard it a lot earlier this week, was Emmett Mosley, the wide receiver transfer out of Stanford. He's been out. I don't even know what he's got. I don't even know if they've said, but he's been out with an injury. And we started to hear a lot of buzz about Emmett Mosley, almost to the point where it makes me feel like this might be the week that he starts, that he actually gets some playing time, because they said he did practice earlier in the week, which I think was a pretty big step for him, coming back to full practice. So I'm excited. I hope we get to see him again, not at the detriment to his health. Like, we don't need to do that. We've seen some guys that have stepped up. I feel like Parker Livingston has stepped up big time. We've got DeAndre Moore. Ryan Wingo gets back in the groove a little bit last game. So I think there's three guys for sure that Texas can run out there and say, these are our three guys, that to the point where, you don't need to rush an Emmett Mosley back. But I feel like the team feels like he's a big asset in that passing game. So I kind of want to see that.
I know, I do too. And it would be nice to have a player like him who's a bit of a surprise because they will have never seen Sark implement him in an offense. The only tape they have on him is from Stanford. So I think it'd be a very dynamic piece to have. I hope that they'll do a little bit of gamemanship and at least pretend like he's going to play, because again, I want them to have to game plan for him. But I do think he could unlock another layer. Some of the early reporting when he initially transferred was how he's really good at his blocks, and a lot of the practice reports where he's way faster than he was even on Stanford tape. So I think he could be a really great asset, but right now I kind of joke it's like the ghost of Emmett Mosley. Is he even real? We don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I liked your point about not them haven't seen him. And I think, I think what's interesting about moving away from conference or non-conference play and into conference play is that whole dynamic of the coaches finally opening up the playbook a little more. You'll start to see personnel packages that we haven't seen through those first 4 games. And even playing a team like Ohio State, I thought Texas was very vanilla on defense, and I felt like even offensively, it was just there wasn't a lot of wrinkle to it. It was kind of like, we're just going to play, and we think we're better, and we'll make some plays, and we'll have a chance to win at the end, which they did. They didn't get it done because they they really struggled for 3 quarters. So, but I think now that it's conference play, you're going to start to see Sark open it up a little more, which will be kind of interesting this weekend. We're talking Texas football at Florida against those Florida Gators with their backs to the wall. Jump in the chat, jump in the comments, leave us your comments, leave us your questions. We'd love to interact with you guys. As we talk about this game, one of the things I think is super interesting is going to be the weather this weekend in Gainesville. They've got forecasted rain, I think starting Friday night, most of the day Saturday. So what I did some research on the field there, and I'll just call it the Swamp because I think it's Ben Hill. Maybe it's Ben Hill Griffin is what they call that stadium. It's what its real name is. But I'll just say the Swamp so I don't mess that up and offend anybody. The Swamp, they dug it up. Like, it used to have turf, and they pulled the turf up, put some more turf down at one point when Steve Spurrier got there. And then they pulled the turf up and put grass down, I think. And then they went back and tore it all up again and put like this whiz-bang drainage system into it. And now it's covered up, and it's been, Bermuda grass since. I wonder how whiz-bang that drainage system is, because even if it's not actually raining during the game, I think there's going to be a lot of rain around the time of the game. Like, how sloppy will that field be? How clean will that field be to play on? I think that could be a huge kind of X factor in this game when you start talking about 2 offenses that we've seen struggle.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm hopeful that it maybe doesn't rain at kickoff, but like you said, that field is going to be wet. It's going to be really humid no matter what. So I'm curious to see, how that translates. I think that's another reason why I really am hopeful that Trey Wisner is back, because the running game is so crucial. Anytime there's an element factor, whether that's snow or rain or anything, you want to rely on the running game. But I think it's wild because it's going to impact the offenses the most, and both of these teams are already struggling on offense. So
I mean, so
we'll
you see all these score predictions from people, and some of them are just absolutely wild to me. We'll see. Obviously, we mentioned at the top of the show, Texas's first trip ever to Gainesville. Not a lot of games played against Florida to begin with, and this Florida team 1-3. You got rumors of Billy Napier getting fired. You got Lagway in a boot 2 weeks ago, and just all the, Lagway was a guy that before the season, people were pumping him up as a Heisman candidate. People were saying, DJ Lagway could lead this Florida team to, to greatness and an SEC championship and all this stuff. And I did tweet earlier, before football season, that I felt like Lagway was there's always a team that has a guy that if he does X, they can be really good. But if he does
Mhm.
Y, they can be really bad. And I felt like Lagway was that type of guy for Florida. Like if he met the expectations that so many people have heaped on top of him, I feel like this Florida team can be good. But so far, it has been a wreck for Florida off. I mean, Texas fans are upset about the way our offense has looked, and we should be at times. But man, they've just been awful offensively. And so, you know, I saw where Lagway talked about it's at some point this offense is going to pop. You see any truth to that, or do you think a spade's a spade at this point?
You know, I think I sort of touched on this. I think that's why the bye week was so important. Lagway wasn't able to throw at all in the spring. He wasn't able to throw at all. He had a shoulder injury. Then he got a leg injury. And so he really has even just been practicing for only a couple of weeks. And I mean, I think that's really shown in the games. He just has so little confidence, and it's because he hasn't gotten any reps. And a lot of reporters are talking about when you're a young quarterback, those practice reps actually do really matter. So in the offseason, they were sort of treating him as if he were, Matthew Stafford for the Rams, who's been having back problems this year. Well, this is his 13th year in the NFL, so he really doesn't need the preseason. But you've got DJ Lagway, who this would be his first full season as a starter. He kind of needs those practice reps. So I think that Lagway could be onto something in terms of eventually it's going to pop, because that happens often with young players. It's kind of hard to have a comeback game against this Texas defense. So I'm hoping it's not this weekend. And I think Sark said that too in his presser. But I mean, I think he is onto something, because it was his first full week of actual practice, and they did 11 on 11s. Now he's got some game reps in, and those were some tough games. It's not like he was playing the Sam Houston State or UTEP like we had the luxury of. So I don't know. I think he could pop, but it's just going to be tough to do for him, at least against our team this week.
Yeah, I think about the weather. I think about the defense they're playing against. I think about how sometimes he has that in the back of his head. He has that people have been really high on him in the back of his head. I think that can make you press and try to do things that maybe you shouldn't do. So there's a whole lot of sort of subplots to me to this Texas and Florida game. Real quick, we talked about the injuries. I see the initial report is now out. CJ Baxter is doubtful for the Texas Longhorns, which I think we all pretty much expected. Questionable Emmett Mosley, Trey Wisner, and Kobe Black. Probable Malik Muhammad and Xavier Filsaime. I didn't even know those two guys were banged up.
Me neither.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I don't know is like what the rule, because I know they have to say, they have to put these guys on injury reports. I don't know when they have to do, like why they have to do that. Is it because you came out of the game with an injury, or you had an injury, you set out of practice with an injury that you have to add them to this report? And then I think what's interesting is the different coaches will probably use this different. Like I look at Florida's, they don't have any doubtfuls or questionables or probables. They have a list of people that are out. Trayon Webb, running back, edge, LJ McCray, excuse me. DB Aaron Gates, running back, Jacoby Jackson. Jacoby Jackson was a guy that figured into the Florida running game pretty big last year. Defensive back Dijon Johnson, and then defensive lineman Caleb Banks. That's it. They're all out. They don't have any of the other guessing game things. So there's your injury update for the Texas Longhorns, and I don't think we know much about any of it at all.
Yeah,
except Cedric Baxter's probably not playing.
Yes, which we predicted that. So good job to us. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on real quick. Maybe Sark put Manny as probable because he's I think the second least targeted corner in the SEC. So he's like, oh, your ankle kind of hurt at the end of the game, right? We're gonna make it probable because maybe now they'll be like, oh, he's hurt. Let's target him. Me playing these mind games with myself. But
hey, I think these coaches will do almost anything to get some sort of competitive edge. You see I mean, you see Oklahoma coaching staff talking about it with John Mateer.
Oh, yeah.
Like just all the comments about that. I just don't believe these guys have gotten to the places they get to without like having some of that gamesmanship and some of that, sort of strategy behind what they're saying and when they're saying it and why they're saying it. And maybe that is tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
But either way, it's interesting to try to read between those lines and see, what's going on. Back to the Florida preview, Texas is 6.5-point favorite. What do you make of that? Do you think that's too big? Do you think it's in line? Maybe not big enough?
So I think Texas definitely can win by more than that. I think it's properly set just because that's a pretty big spread for a visiting team, going to the swamp, especially when you consider, where these teams, where their ceilings are. So, I mean, I think it's the right line. I would be very happy if Texas won by 2 scores, which if they won by 6.5, that would just be 1 score. I'd be happy with that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's set right, especially when you consider that, I mean, this game could be 30-3, it could be 14-10, it could be, it really could be all over the place. So I think it's just because the inconsistency of both offenses, it's like, just make it under a touchdown favorite. You know what I mean? So I think going into the season, if I had heard that spread, I would have been like, wow, we must be amazing, but really, I think it's more a reflection of they're just both really inconsistent teams. It's hard to make up, make up what it should be.
Longhorn fan battle, one of our other Texas podcasters. Texas could win 20-6 and he wouldn't be shocked, or they wouldn't be shocked. I've been saying it all year, every single game, like almost no outcome to any of these games would shock me. And I think that's just because I feel like this Texas defense is just so dangerous. Like I feel like the Texas defense could score more points than Florida. Like I feel like they have that kind of talent. And you're talking about a sloppy game. You're talking about, this Florida team with their backs to the wall. You said it earlier, and I've been thinking it all week, Michelle. Like they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Texas. Like they can't afford to just do what they've been doing through 4 games and try to win this game the old fashioned way, quote unquote. Like they're going to have to try to get some big plays. And so I think they're going to take a lot of gambles. And I think when you take gambles, you set yourself up for making mistakes and turning the ball over. And if the game plan and the talk all week has been, hey, DJ, we need you to push the ball down the field, DJ's probably going to push the ball down the field, and he's probably going to do it. Sometimes he shouldn't do it. And so, I say that, tongue in cheek almost, but I really do feel like this Texas defense is good enough to not only, squash Florida's offense, but also put some points on the board if they get too cute and make some, ill-advised throws and just, I could see them going for it on 4th down in some weird times. I could see them faking punts, faking kick, just all like everything I feel like is in play for this Florida team right now. And so to me, it could be that, or DJ Lagway could just do the same thing, but absolutely be nails and hit passes and guys make plays for him. And Texas just kind of is like, what the hell is happening right now? Like we can't win a 50-50 ball. I could see that. And I think that's kind of like the beauty of the 50-50 and with your back against the wall and all that stuff. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything is on the table. I think it will be different. The Florida offense we saw them running the first 3 weeks is going to be different than the one we see this Saturday. Whether it's just as effective or not, that's to be told. But I know they're going to change it up. They have to. I mean, they
exactly.
Really
they have to. They have. If they do what they've done so far this year, Texas should win this game unless they have a bunch of offensive blunders or breakdowns in the secondary, guys falling down. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like if Florida does what they've done offensively and Texas plays to the level defensively that they can, this will be a bad offensive performance for the Florida Gators. And I think Billy Napier knows that, and I think that whole offense knows that. I mean, the Texas coaches know that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see that chess match play out between the coaching and just sort of what they do formation wise and those types of things. X's and O's. It'll be fascinating to me this weekend because there's all these sort of external factors. Whether again, Florida just completely with their back. I mean, if Florida loses this game, that's 4 straight losses. It's what, 2 straight SEC games? Or no, it won't be 2 straight SEC games. It'll be 0-2 in the SEC starting out. So they better come in very aggressive, and I think that's what we'll see. Let's talk the matchups real quick. You jumped on it a little bit earlier, Michelle. You talked about both defenses. I like to do where I kind of go through and I put down the offensive stats and the defensive stats for the other team, and then flip that on its head. You look at this Texas offense versus this Florida and I think this Florida defense is a lot better than their numbers say. And you mentioned, they've been on the field a ton. They've had to deal with that LSU game. I think they were on the field the whole freaking game, basically, because DJ Lagway handed LSU the ball 5 separate times. I don't know how that one didn't get worse.
I was going to say, it's kind of a miracle that LSU didn't score like 40 points off that,
Yeah. So I think they're very good. So again, that'll be interesting to see for this Texas offense. I go down these stats, Texas total offense, 438 a game. Florida only giving up 284. Passing offense, 236. Florida's giving up 173. 170, anything under 200 to me is pretty good pass defense wise. Rushing defense, they're at 111. The last 2 years, I think we hung out around 111 in rushing defense for most of the year. The only year we were like just completely insanely dominant, and I'm terrible. I can't remember these guys, Keandre Coburn, and I forgot the other guy that was with him. But that defensive line, that defense was like, I want to say under 100 in rushing yards that year. So, but I think 111 really good. I mean, if you're around 100, that's really good in rushing defense. We're rushing the ball, and this one's kind of surprising to me. We're over 200 yards a game on the ground. A lot of points last season, we were in the 160 range. So as much as I piss and moan about the running game on this show, I mean, the numbers show that they're running the football. And again, you can only play who you're playing. And I think if we'd have ran the ball more against Ohio State, those numbers may even be better. We just kind of gave up on it, so to speak. But I look at one thing this Florida defense doesn't do a lot is sack the quarterback. They've only got 3 sacks, which I think that bodes well for us because we've only given up 3 sacks all season. I thought that was an amazing stat when I started looking at all this. Through 4 games, we've given up 3 sacks. I don't care who you're playing. That's pretty damn good. And they don't take the ball away. They've only taken the ball away 4 times. We've only turned the ball over 4 times. So, I think where they might have an advantage against us, third down defense, they're pretty good. And red zone defense is okay for them. And we suck. I wouldn't say we suck. We haven't been statistically good in those 2 areas so far this season on the whole. To me, this offense against this Florida defense is not just I see these score predictions, 35 for Texas and 38 for and I'm like, what are you guys like? Why would you think that? It just to me is insane.
Yeah, I think Sark would, if he knew he could win this game 20-6, if he just gave his pinky, he'd be like, here, take it. Like that would be a great game for him. So yeah, I think it will be a really tough challenge for our team. And I think it would, if they play well, meaning I'm not even saying they score 30 points. Like to me, a good game, they score 24 points, that'd be 4 drives that lead in points, hopefully, or maybe it's 1 defensive score, the rest come on offense, whatever, however you want to get there. And then maybe I think a 24-10, that'd be a really good game. And the offense, you can build off of that, knowing you're going to be tested against OU. So I think this is a really good game to see where we stand, just because it's been so all over the place since Ohio State. So their defense is good at all the things that we're maybe not necessarily good at on offense. So it's a good way to see how have we grown over these past 2 weeks. So I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to see how we fare. I think we're going to do a great job, but you just never know. I thought the same before Ohio State, and then I was shocked. So
I think a lot of people were shocked, after the Ohio State game, it just how much of an uphill battle it was for the offense. And I think that's fair. But what I don't get is why there's so many people out there still slinging out these big point totals. This Florida team is talented. They may not play well in a lot of cases, but they're really talented. And the get right games are over. Like this is going to look a lot like that Ohio State game. There's going to be that type of players on the field is what I'm saying. Sam Houston State, Sam Jose State, whatever, UTEP. No offense to those teams, no disrespect to those teams, but this Florida team is way closer to Ohio State than they are to those teams. So what I wonder is if, Texas doesn't go in and score 35 points, what that's going to look like on the Twitters, because I think it'll probably be ridiculous, especially if it's a close game.
Maybe Texas fans would be surprised, but the national media, they're pretty low on us right now. Josh Pate, I think he's predicting a Florida upset, so I think maybe our little Texas bubble, maybe some people are hoping, confident Arch comes in and scores 1 million points. But I think the predominant narrative nationally is that it's going to be a rock fight. I mean, both offenses are some of the third down offenses in the nation. So they're
terrible. Like the offenses are just not good,
right?
As a whole, right, they're just not consistently good,
right?
And the defenses are pretty consistently good. So to me, I kind of feel like I felt as we headed up to Ohio State, like this one feels really ugly, really low scoring in today's football. You say that if the score was 20-14, most people would call that like a super low scoring game in today's game, because there's just so many points getting scored all the time.
Right.
And so, I think, I don't know. I think if Arch Manning, a couple of things. I think if Texas can run the ball well, but just, not great, but just, be able to continue to lean on the run and pick up yards on the ground. And if Arch Manning can look even close to what he looked like 2 Saturdays ago, I really feel like this Texas offense has an advantage over this Florida defense. And I think almost just by default, this Texas defense is going to have an advantage over pretty much anybody it plays. They're just so good everywhere. And you can see it in the numbers. Like in one area that I think is really interesting, sacks allowed. Florida's already given up 9 sacks, and Texas is surprising. We've talked a whole lot about them not getting home this year, but they've got 11 sacks. They're in the top, 25, I think, in sacks in the country. So they're getting to the quarterback, and when they're not getting sacks, they're affecting the quarterback, which is maybe not as good, but can be really, really good as well. So I look at this rushing defense, 59 yards. Offensively, Florida's only averaging 123 a game, which is not good. I look at turnovers lost. They've lost 6 turnovers already. We've taken the ball away 7 times. They're shitty, like with 2 capital T's on third down offensively. They're worse than us by a lot.
Yeah, that's
and our third down defense is like stellar at this point. So they are good in the red zone. You got to give them that. They're good in the red zone, and I think we're really good in the red zone too. So, but I think you look at these, you look at the matchups and stuff, and this defense should be able to put the lid right on that jar of the Florida offense. I just don't. And I hate to say lucky, because that's not what I mean, but I think the only chance that Florida offense has to do anything is to just get some big plays. Like they're going to have to they're going to have to hit some big plays. It's the
Right.
only chance they have to stay close.
If DJ Lagway can have a Michael Penix-esque performance where just every 50-50 ball falls their way, then yeah. But that's when you play any team, you know? So I think Texas really does fare well. I think it's a great matchup. I think it's a great tool for us to see where this team actually is, because it was really hard to tell after Sam Houston State. You know, you don't want to have false confidence, but I think this is going to be a great measuring stick for us, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be good. Let's jump over and start talking keys to the game. I mean, I think we've probably hit on some of these things as we've been discussing the preview and all that stuff. But what are your keys to the game for the Texas Longhorns this weekend, Michelle?
So my first key to the game is we need to win the first quarter. And Sark mentioned at his media availability, Texas is 20-1 when we score first. So we really need to make sure that if we win the coin toss, we defer and we get them 3 and out, and our offense then goes and scores on our opening drive. And I think that will really take the crowd out of it, because this crowd, these Florida fans are hungry to start booing their coach and start chanting fire, fire Billy, like they did a couple weeks ago. So right. We need to suck the life out of that stadium and really make a statement in the first quarter, because I think it will be really tough for them to rally. If we're able to get like a 10-0 lead and they're not able to get any momentum with their offense, I think it's just going to be really hard from an atmosphere perspective for them to get the crowd behind them again. So to me, first quarter is critical. Secondly, I'd say discipline. Just don't beat ourselves, especially with wet conditions, the weather, we don't know. So penalties, we cannot have any of them, and we need to take care of the ball. And then lastly, just have our stars be stars. We need Arch to be confident, to be smart, make good decisions. We need Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill to wreak havoc. And to me, if we can execute on those 3 things, it's going to be an easy win for us. If we miss on just one of those things, it's going to be a long day. So
yeah, I like what you said about the first quarter, because there was something I used to talk about. I haven't said it one time this year, but I used to talk about it a whole lot on this show when I would talk about keys. And I called it like being the storm. Like everybody says, you got to survive the storm. No. You don't go on the road and survive the storm. You create the chaos. That's how you shut a fan base down and completely tip that in your favor. Nobody wants to hear the swamp be more quiet than Texas.
Right.
100%. And so if they can come out and have that quick start and just, I mean, these Florida Gator fans, they're probably revved up about this, regardless of, 1-3, 4-0, who gives a shit? Texas is coming to town. Like we're excited for that. I was excited last year when Florida came to Austin. I thought that was one of the coolest games we had in Austin last year because, I grew up watching Florida be really good at football, and to have them at Darrell K. Royal was something I never thought we'd ever see. And we got it. And I'm sure they're thinking the same thing over there. So they're going to be wound up because of that. They're going to be wound up because it's, they hate Texas, and they're going to be wound up because, just a myriad of reasons they're going to be wound up. So I think your point about, coming in there and shutting all that down could be really huge in this game. For me, I got 4 keys this week. I had prevent big plays. We've already talked about that. Florida's backs are 100% to the wall. They're going to cut it loose. That's the only, I feel like Billy Napier knows he's not going to consistently move the ball up and down the field. Like they're going to have to hit some big plays. And to do that, you got to take some chances. I think they'll do that a lot. I think establishing the run, I go back to the weather. Like if it's sloppy, you don't want quarterbacks throwing a lot of passes, because a lot of bad things happen when you're throwing passes in wet weather like that. The ball can just completely slip out of your hand. People can fall down and interceptions happen. People can, get their hands on the ball and deflect it, and people can intercept it. Passing in the rain, I would hate to have to do it. And if I was a coach, I would try everything possible not to have to do it. So I think, coming in there and establishing the run is something that could be a big key for Texas. Protecting the football, again, I go back to the weather. You always want to protect the football, but I think it's going to be ultra important in this type of weather to be oversensitive to that. Like, hey, man, 1 yard ain't worth me putting this ball on the turf. Like, I'm gonna wrap this thing up and make sure we hold on to the ball. And then I think the fourth thing for me is an eye on Lagway. Like, I could see Lagway being like an X factor type of guy in this game if we let him. Now the good part about that is I think Pete Kwiatkowski has been an absolute wizard at putting defenses out there that slow down even these really good mobile quarterbacks. And I don't know if DJ Lagway is like upper echelon type mobile, but I think he's pretty mobile. Like, I think he's a guy that can move around pretty well and he can hurt you with his feet. And you know, part of that is personnel. You've got Anthony Hill Jr. that can pretty much spy anybody on the planet. And I think that's going to be important, not to get caught not doing that at the right time for Florida. It's going to be about confusing him and keeping him off balance. If we do things that let him stay comfortable, I think he's the type of guy that could make some plays against you. So there's my 4 keys to the game. We'll see how all that plans out. We'll talk about it. Michelle, are you going to join me on Sunday, or can you join me on Sunday for 10 thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be in town, so I'll be able to talk about it.
All right. So one of the things I like to do is go back and look at those keys and see if any of them came true for us. So we'll do that on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Right here on YouTube or on X. All right, Michelle, it's prediction time. Let's put you on the spot. Tell us how you think this game goes. Give us your final score prediction.
So I kind of talked about it a little bit. I think 24-10. I'd be so happy with that score. Again, that means we either had a mix of defense scoring plus offense scoring, or it all came from the offense. And it means our defense was able to contain them, only give up a couple scores. So 24-10, I will be a really happy girl. And I think that is a very likely outcome. I could definitely see it happening. That's kind of how I try to do my scores. Could I actually see this score happening? So that's what I think.
That's fair. All right. So 24-10, 24-10, right, Michelle? Okay. 24-10 for Michelle. So to me, like, sometimes the outcome of games is just so obvious that it's not obvious. Like, and I go back to like the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers last weekend. If you ask anybody neutral that isn't just going to go Pack, they're going to win, or let's go Cowboys, they're going to win. Everybody, you asked 150 people, and 150 people are going to tell you that the Green Bay Packers are going to go into Dallas and they're going to embarrass Dallas. And Micah Parsons is probably going to end up with 7 sacks. And like, just, you know, you would just hear how absolutely Dallas did not have a chance. And it's interesting to me that if you look at this thing on paper, I don't think Florida has a chance. Like, again, just on paper.
Right.
But you've got all these talking heads out there, excuse me, that are really down on Texas. And you've got a Josh Pate, who's a very, respected guy in the college football media world, that's predicting Florida to win this game. I would love to sit down with Josh and just hear his thoughts on why. Maybe he talked about it on his show. I've never seen a single Josh Pate show. I've seen clips of him, on the internet, obviously, but I wonder how long he spent talking about this game and what that sounded like for him. But again, I think he's kind of taken that stance of, this one seems so obvious that it's absolutely not obvious. I think you talk about the sloppy weather. I think this could be a game that, where the offenses just really struggle to get anything going because of the conditions on the field. And maybe I'm totally wrong on that. Maybe their drainage system that they put in fairly recently is one of those, deals where it's not going to be sloppy. I kind of doubt it, but we'll have to see. But I do think both offenses are going to struggle aside from that. And I've got Texas winning this game, but even lower score than you. I've got like 20-13, somewhere around in there, Texas winning this game. So again, we'll see. The predictions are on record. We'll snip those and put them out on Twitter tomorrow. We'll talk about the keys as well. I'll probably post our keys up there a little bit too. So yeah, that's it. I think that's Florida and Texas in a nutshell. It should be. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Me too.
And so college football fans, tune into that one because I think it will be a good one.
Yeah.
And we'll just hope that the Texas Longhorns can make a little more plays than the Florida Gators can. Michelle, do you have anything else for anybody tonight before we get out of here?
Man, I was just going to say, I think you're spot on with your score prediction too. I think first team that can get to 20 or over, that's your winner.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's what I thought for the Ohio State game too. And that is what happened, but it was even lower. So it could be the case with this game as well. Who knows?
All right. Well, thanks, Michelle, for being with us tonight. Thanks, everybody out there that's watching tonight. Thanks for interacting with us. What is it? I want to make sure I say this right. Longhorn Fan Battle. And I'm pretty sure that's that podcast, the Fan Battle podcast.
Yeah, I love following them on Twitter. They're great.
Yeah. So thanks for jumping in and interacting with us a little bit. Thanks again to Chinook Seedery. We got a show coming up Sunday. We talked about it earlier. We will come on 10 o'clock Sunday morning. We'll give our 10 thoughts. We'll retouch on these keys and our predictions. And hopefully we're having good stuff to talk about. You can check Michelle out on Twitter at Michelle Lynn with triple N's 94 there on Twitter. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. Give her a follow. She's a fun follow on Twitter. You can check us out at Horn Takes on Twitter, YouTube. I still have a TikTok channel, but I don't even look at it anymore. But go there. You might see some funny stuff from like 4 years ago that you can laugh at. I find that most of the things that people interact on TikTok are from like 3 years ago when I made a prediction about a game that was wrong. And so they do the whole, how did this one turn out? So anyway, check us out on the socials. Man, I wanted to get the guys on for baseball to talk about that game Saturday. We just could not make it work. But maybe I can talk them into talking some baseball next week too. So follow us on Twitter. That's where I put all the programming notes and whatnot. So check us out there. Folks, thanks for joining. You guys have a good night. Let's get ready to go beat those Florida Gators. Y'all get hooked.
Hook 'em.